reconnecting. But the storm is here, and the preparations are pretty much in place. We're just waiting to see sort of exactly where this goes, as you are as well.
We're going to ask Steve Weigel to pull up the outage map. We have this really interesting outage predictor. Start restoring power, and then where are your teams posted, and how quickly can you respond?
Yeah, Shannon, we position them ahead of time based on where we think the outages and where the heaviest damage will be, and those folks are ready to go right away. In fact, if winds drop below 35 miles per hour for a stretch of time, they can literally work in between feeder bands and try to reconnect some folks. So it's truly an around-the-clock operation. Obviously, the full brunt of the restoration really starts once the storm has passed and things have kind of gotten back closer to normal. But we watch it very closely, and we want to be ready as soon as we're able to get into the field reconnecting customers. And that 35-mile-an-hour wind threshold is kind of the main thing we look at.
And Peter, are you advising customers of FP&L when they're after the storm has essentially passed and the all clear has been given to call FPL to report an outage, or is your technology so advanced that you'll know it before they do?
We'll know a lot of them. We have smart meters throughout our service territory, and those help a lot, but we don't want folks to hesitate to reach out to us. So, if you still have self-service and you can go to fpl.com on your smartphone, that's a great way to check outages and report outages. And then our 1-800-4-OUTAGE line is also available. So we don't want folks to hesitate to contact us and let us know about an outage after the storm has passed, but we can certainly see a lot more of them than we could in previous storms.
Peter, with some talk about this storm potentially, we're hoping it doesn't happen, but potentially circling back around in a couple of days, will you still go full bore with the restoration once this storm passes the first time around?
We will. Yeah, Shannon, we're committed to reconnecting people as quickly as possible, and we're all sort of keeping fingers crossed that we don't have a second round. We'll deal with it when it comes, but yeah, we'll absolutely reconnect folks as soon as we're able to do so once the storm has passed.
And picking up on that, Peter, I think we read earlier where your folks, without putting them in danger, they are able to go out even if winds are upwards of, I think, was it 35 miles an hour, they're able to start going out and reconnecting power?
Yeah. People ready to go to respond to the storm, and 12,000 of them approximately are from out of the state. The last thing we would ever do is put those folks in harm's way, so as long as it's safe for them to be out and reconnecting folks and the winds are below 35 miles an hour, that's exactly what they'll do.
Let's talk about, Peter, very quickly, what has changed since 2004. I mentioned in a conversation with you on the air yesterday that, I unfortunately was one of those people in 2004. I was at the end of a street and your grid was saying we were lit up on that street, but I was one or two houses, and that happened in a number of neighborhoods and communities where there were pockets of power that wasn't restored for weeks on end. And how has your technology changed? Are you able to remedy that kind of thing where people are without power for weeks at a time? Are our predictions less than that?
Yeah, they are. It'll depend on how, look, it's a Category 4 storm, so there's going to be some pockets of extremely heavy damage, no question about it. And obviously that will take a little longer. But, first and foremost, we're stronger than we ever have been. We've upgraded poles from wood to concrete where we're able to do that. We've strengthened the grid to try to avoid outages on the front end. I mean, that's the best case scenario for everybody, right, is outages avoided in the first place.
Right.
But yeah, like you said, Shannon, once there are outages, we're better able to detect them. We're better able to identify exactly where problems are. And then the scenario we talked about yesterday, we used to sometimes leave neighborhoods, and there were a couple people who had more severe damage who weren't back on yet, and we didn't know, frankly, until they called us. So we would have to redeploy trucks back to that neighborhood a second time. With the smart technology we have, we can avoid that. So it really just speeds the restoration process for everybody. Our goal is to have everybody on as quickly as we possibly can. So some folks take a little longer if their damage is more severe. I think, everybody understands that. But, our strategy is to get as many customers connected in the shortest amount of time. So we look for sort of large groups of people that we can kind of reconnect all at once. And at the same time, we work on hospitals, 911 centers, fire stations, things like that, that we know the community truly needs to, get back to normal and restore emergency services.
Peter Robbins from FP&L. Peter, your resource is valuable and critical. I know you all are going to be watching this as closely as we are. We appreciate your time, and best of luck to you as you all ride out this storm and during the aftermath as well.
And more, he will have the man with the plan.
That's right.
So we'll be talking to him quite a bit.
Speaking of power, when the power is out, as we mentioned earlier, we are simulcasting right now on these iHeart radio stations. We'll keep you informed through our radio partners. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter, also our free WPTV app. There are certainly plenty of ways to stay with us as we go through this storm. This is our commitment to our community to make sure you have the most detailed and up-to-date information before, during, and after the storm.
Speaking of some critical information, our Tori Dunnan standing by in the newsroom at the big screen. Tori, what do you have?
So this is FPL's power tracker. So if people are at home, they're really wanting to know what the power situation is right now. I'm going to show it to you on the big screen. Basically, they have county by county numbers of power outages, but I've got to click on this iPad to actually show you where we are. If we start in Palm Beach County here, you can see right now, that right now total customers out 3,140. That was last updated at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Continuing up to the next county, Martin County. Currently 320 customers without power. And then we've got here in St. Lucie County 300. And then finally we'll go to Indian River County where there are 180 customers out. The thing you need to know is you just go here, fpl.com/power tracker. They have this map. They're updating it. Back to you guys.
Go to Chris Stewart here. I was just handed this information. This is huge, especially given our area with the number of Gator fans and all. The Gator game, University of Florida Gator game up at the Swamp with LSU has been canceled, and it is not to be made up. I know a lot of people down here. We have the biggest here in the county. The Gator Club is the largest in the state right now. The Gator game, UF game, has been canceled against LSU, which was set for Saturday. I don't recall what time that was, but it doesn't matter at this point. It's been canceled and not to be made up. We're not clear on
to be made up. Does that
not
mean...
clear on your tickets or how that works.
Wow.
But we just want to make you aware that that's huge, and that's actually an indication of this storm and what other counties and municipalities up along the coast are dealing with in the preparations that they are making as well.
Speaking of moving up the coast, our Chris Stewart is doing that very thing. He is in this really interesting new technology vehicle that we have on the road, and I believe those are actually pictures coming out of his car. Chris, what are you seeing?
Yeah, take a look at your screen right now, see it for yourself, and those clouds really say a lot when you think about what this area is bracing for right now. You're taking a live look at I-95. We're heading north up the Treasure Coast right now, just past the exit for Fort Pierce. And just looking out and about, you can see there's about a handful of cars. It's tough to see from what you're seeing on your screen right now, but just looking out my window, I can tell you there's about a handful of cars that are still out on the road right now. But really not a lot going on when you look at the different neighborhoods and communities that are along I-95. Just as we've made our way up, starting in West Palm Beach and heading north, you certainly see a lot of hurricane shutters, not a surprise there, but the amount of cars has definitely gone down over the past couple of hours, which is definitely good news when you think about what our area is bracing for right now. And we are in a vehicle right now equipped with cameras, so we can show you and be your eyes out on the road right now so you can stay at home and see it for yourself and not venture outside and try to take a look. But once again, some very strong winds. We can definitely feel it in our car, a gust every once in a while, pushing us over a little bit. That's definitely, I would say, picked up since we've been out on the road, and rain as well is falling. Not really downpouring at this point from where we are, but certainly it's there.
Chris, you mentioned the multiple cameras that this vehicle has, and as we're watching for our listeners who are on the radio, Chris is on a stretch of highway headed north. No one's really on the roadway, which is good news. Good to see. At this point, they should have evacuated right now. Chris, take us through the viewpoints of this vehicle. We're looking straight.
This one right here, I know I'm going to be on a little bit of a delay because I'm on a phone right now, but I will switch it inside so you can probably. We head into this evening, and you think of tomorrow, as Matthew continues to work in our area, is the ability to come live in what could be some really tough conditions tonight and again into the morning. When you think of how strong the wind is going to be and what we're bracing for here.
Chris, you said that the winds are buffering you about on the road just a bit?
Oh, absolutely.
So you're
yeah,
starting to feel
I
those
would
conditions.
Say, yeah, every once in a while you can feel my driver's doing a very good job just with these gusts and making sure that we stay on the road. But those have definitely picked up. I would say since we've been on the road for just about an hour and a half.
All right, Chris Stewart, as he's making his way up the Treasure Coast, Chris will be positioning himself with his crew in Vero Beach. That's where they'll be riding out the storm for the duration, of course, in that vehicle when they can get out and mobilize. That will be key. This is all part of our technology, as we've been telling you about. Storm. That will be crucial not only during the storm, which they'll have to monitor the conditions, but after the storm, the aftermath, they can pretty much mobilize and go anywhere to let everyone know at that point when the homes where they can go, where they can't go, and that's part of our commitment again to you all and to our coverage. Chris Stewart live on the phone. Stay safe, my friend. We'll be talking to you soon.
So Steve Weagle's joining us here on set, and he's starting to feel the feeder bands too, right along Treasure Coast, right?
We've already had 45-mile-an-hour winds on the Treasure Coast and Palm Beach County at the power plant on Hutchinson Island, also Lake Worth Pier. So it's already starting to begin, and the timing's actually right on time from what we expected yesterday, because it was mid-afternoon that we were forecasting these. That track has been more north than northwest. Hopefully that trend continues. That would, if it does, it would bring it more toward Grand Bahama as a landfall there rather than keeping it in over the Gulf Stream. I will also say at the same time that the GFS is one of the models that does bring this more north and west, kind of offshore Palm Beach County, but then turns it well back to the west, closer to the Treasure Coast, which follows the official forecast from the Hurricane Center. But this is one of the great things with Live Viper 5 Max. We can show you not only the trends out, 3, 4, 5 days, but we can also track it we're tracking it minute by minute here as it moves across the Bahamas and toward our area. So we're 115 miles an hour when we now have the tool of Viper radar to pick up the showers and storms and even some lightning. See the lightning popping up there? Now the winds are 140. That made landfall down around Miami back in 2005, and just ahead of the storm, just around the eye wall, and it went from a tropical storm to a Category 1 hurricane very, very quickly. So we're watching those strikes, and of course there's a breakdown of the lightning strikes that we have now. We have positive strikes and negative strikes. A little scientific for you, but either way, there's lightning going on near the center, and there's actually a large area of lightning going on northeastern side of this too that may not even affect our weather. It's so far out from the center. Here's a look as we fly into this storm. The cold cloud tops are 50 and 60,000 feet up, way up, 10, 11 miles in the sky. Some of these big storms and these the inner wall of this hurricane, and we fly into it. They're inside the eye of the hurricane on the radar. Hunters fly through this. They call this the stadium effect because see this circular pattern. And in this hurricane, the eye is about 15 miles wide. That's an amazing view. So there's the radar. We're inside the eye of this storm, and there's the radar picking up just the eye wall of this. So hopefully we don't get a landfalling hurricane here, but we certainly did in Francis, Gina, and Wilma. And what happens is some of your strongest winds are right along this eye wall. In this hurricane, they're 140 miles an hour. But right inside the eye, the winds are calm, and if it's daylight and there's no clouds aloft, it's clear, it's sunny. It stays sunny maybe for a half an hour. In Francis, because it was moving so slow, that clearing was for about 2 hours in the storm before it moved through. In fact, it was so long in Francis that emergency people actually had a chance to get out and help some people in the middle of the eye before the backside of the eye worked through. In this storm, it's moving about 15 miles an hour, so it's a little faster, and there won't be any help in the eye of this hurricane. Hopefully, the eye stays offshore. There's another look at it. This is the backside of the hurricane, a big band just ahead of this. There's the eye there, 15 miles wide. We have this area of very dry area near the center, and then we have this second band. Incredible force of nature here because you have upward motion with big storms here, and then you actually have the air falling in this area here, so you don't see the rain wrapped around it in that spot. There's the most concerning area right there on the northeastern side with big rain. So we're already starting to see the feeder bands bring in some tropical storm force winds across coastal Palm Beach County, and the wind field continues to strengthen tonight and tomorrow. So the yellow area, that's 40, 50 mile an hour winds. As we get into the orange here, which arrives mid-evening, we're into 50, 60, 70 mile an hour winds, and the hurricane force wind showing up in red That's 10 o'clock. They're arriving to coastal Palm Beach County around Jupiter, down through Juneau, Singer Island, West Palm. The peak weather for the Treasure Coast is overnight, starting around midnight through 6 and 7 in the morning. And for Palm Beach County, the overnight hours are actually when we're going to start to see a little bit of an improvement. Worse weather, well, I shouldn't say more of an improvement after about 3 in the morning. I don't want to sound the call for the all clear too early. But there's a look as we get into tomorrow morning, 8 in the morning. See how the models have slowed down? I showed this graphic yesterday, and at 8 in the morning on Friday, this was 40 and 50 mile an hour winds. Now at 8 in the morning on Friday, a lot of the Treasure Coast still has the threat of hurricane force winds, so the storm has been progressively slowing down. And our power probability index for power outages, of course, continues to change, and we'll keep you up to date on this. Power outages, a little closer to the storm center and a little closer to the stronger winds. So we have a 3, I don't actually see very high at this point. Port St. Lucie, around Jensen Beach and Raya, well, not quite down into Raya, but the Jensen Beach area. Stewart's looking at a 4 for high to very high probability of power outages. And we'll show this map nonstop to give you an idea what's going on. And there's a look at the storm surge, which will be significant. We hear all the emergency officials talk about this. This is the wall of water that pushes up against the coastline ahead of a storm. Night up and down the coastline. Those are the peak storm surge conditions and also the peak time for a high tide. So we are looking at the combination of both having a big impact. So as we go north across Palm Beach County, the storm surge climbs to 5 to 7 feet. These are the kind of worst case scenario numbers, but and we're giving a range too. But these are some of the numbers that we have to watch, and not everyone will see the same. If you want a very detailed look at storm surge threat, it's on the Hurricane Center website, and also we have a link on our website too that shows you pretty much down. It's a geographical map that you can zoom in, like a Google Earth map that shows you exactly what the predictions are for your area. A little surprised even in Jupiter, just north of Center Street, I believe, which is under a mandatory evacuation. The forecast is for significant storm surge there. And then we're up around 10 and 11 feet possible for around Vero Beach. Now, not only at the coastline and along the beaches, but also in the intracoastal and all the rivers that experience tides. So the Loxahatchee, St. Lucie, and of course the Fort Pierce Inlet, looking at some storm surge too. I'm here. Of course, we have Steve Villanueva, and we have James Wieland, who has joined us this afternoon. We're here for the duration, which is going to be a long time, unfortunately. But James is going to help out. And I know, James, you have the radar behind you. It looks impressive just off the coast.
It most certainly does. And, you know, we're looking at this right here. We'll zoom in. I'm thinking we're seeing a strengthening phase here, Steve. We were just talking about this, you and I, that when you see all this lightning kind of fire up in this one area here, and you get all these circles pop up, and look, even darkening. Look at all those lightning strikes there, Steve. Yeah, so this thing is probably strengthening right now, or going through a strengthening phase. And I wouldn't doubt it either, because honestly, this water in here is like 90 degrees. Yeah. So this is going to be like jet fuel to this thing as it moves through there.
Zoom into the eye again. And not only that, but the shear markers that have been firing up in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, just really
deep purples and even a black return showing up on the radar. That is impressive. Can you tilt the radar too, because you get a better idea of where the shear markers are? Obviously up over the open ocean, but they pop up very quickly. And that's shear in the atmosphere. So as this storm makes landfall, this is where we look for tornado threats, because those are the two things that you need for tornado development.
Yeah, it's very impressive looking right now. I mean, thank goodness this isn't doing this when it's, 10 miles from the coastline, but really, really impressive. Let's just analyze this a little bit here. And the eye really is about 15 miles across. So let's go all the way across till we get to the eye wall. Well, 10, 15 miles or so across. Now, we also have this part is the strongest part of the hurricane, like we were saying, and that's about 10 miles right there. Probably maybe a little bit less, 8 miles to the north, and not quite as much to the south, maybe 5 miles or so.
And that's where we have the 130 to 140 mile an hour winds too.
Right, yeah. So this is the area that when we talk about all it takes is a little bit to move one way or another, this is what we mean, because you get into this, although this is a very small area, This moves on land, and it's a whole different story than, say, this out here, or even this band. Even though this band will be bad, nothing like what this is right here.
Definitely, definitely. Well, as you go out from the center of the storm, because it's so well developed, the winds drop off pretty dramatically. So there's really just a tight inner core that has the 120, 130, 140 mile an hour winds, and then that second band on the outer edge. I haven't had any wind reports, although Grand Bahama had about almost a 60 mile an hour wind. I bet it's going to, we're going to get more wind reports that are much stronger. So I suspect that band that's just outside moving into Bimini, probably hurricane force, more than likely.
Yeah, because it does say in the advisory here, hurricane 50. Right here, and then where the most intense part is going to be, like I just highlighted, this right here is right in the eye wall. Not that big, but that moves a little bit onshore, and that's it.
Right, and so that arrives this evening, first in Palm Beach County, and then moves up to the Treasure Coast overnight. So that's the area that has the most concern, because that is the area that'll do the most damage from this hurricane as it pushes closer. I find it fascinating, just watching the loop, and it really has this north track to it in the last couple of hours rather than northwest. And hopefully that's a long-term trend, but we just want to keep you up to date on that. 5 o'clock advisory may come out, and we may have more of a north turn rather than northwest, and that'll keep it a little farther off Florida. I don't want to, sound too optimistic, because it may be a short-term, just little wobble, but it's nice to see that trend over several hours now.
When that first yellow band does arrive, guys, how long will that spell be for those riding that band out?
Well, because of the track of the hurricane and the way it's almost paralleling the coastline, it's going to last, I think, an hour or two.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll last a little while.
Yeah.
Rather than just going straight into the coast, so
It's
it'll
helpful.
be there probably for a little while.
Which doesn't spell good news, considering you're adding more time to the element of all the winds.
Absolutely. And the damage threat, too, is extended out, too.
All right. Steve, thank you. James, welcome aboard. Thank you. I know you guys are going to be with us all night through this. Just into our newsroom right now, Southwest Airlines announcing that they will cancel all flights in and out of Fort Lauderdale tomorrow.
The airline will resume a normal flight schedule on Saturday. I believe Ashley Hinson is standing by to brief us on that.
Yes,
Ashley?
Shannon. So also Palm Beach International Airport announcing all flights in and out have been canceled until further notice. The storm can present some amazing sights too. Also, I want to get to this other tweet. This is from Fort Lauderdale. They said they will be closed tomorrow, and then there looks like they're going to be sort of your updates on the airports. Want to take you to this one here. These are the flights, or these are actually the cities that are canceled for tomorrow in and out of Fort Lauderdale with Southwest Airlines. It's going to be West Palm Beach, Orlando, Tampa, Fort Myers, and Jacksonville, of course, in Florida. And then in Charleston, South Carolina, that is also canceled for tomorrow, too. So we'll continue to keep an eye on these airlines, on these flights, and give you more updates, because I'm sure more airlines will be added to that list shortly, guys.
All right, Ashley Hinson for us at the touchscreen right now. A lot of people, this is such a disruption, not just for so many South Floridians, but for the airlines themselves. So critical information.
Scheduled my airline flights out of town multiple times now, and several of them have been canceled. And so it is. When you have something planned to go somewhere, it's very disruptive. So I can empathize with folks going through that.
All right.
I'm doing it too. All right. I'm not sure where we are headed. My apologies. If you can tell us.
John Genevieve,
Thank you.
right now we're going to continue our live team coverage. And I understand, John, you're at an intersection where some fire rescue and police personnel are. Can you tell us what's happening there?
Yeah, well, right now I am at 45th and Broadway, and let me step aside. You can see what's going on. In the last half hour or so, witnesses say this power line here on the southwest corner just kind of came crashing down. You can actually see it smoking and sparking in the grass. Witnesses tell me, two of them, they were just walking their dog. They heard kind of a loud boom, and that line came down. They say within 2 or 3 minutes, police were on scene trying to push all the folks who were actually walking on the sidewalk out of here. Right now, around half a dozen police cruisers here, as well as the fire department, just kind of waiting perhaps for the power company to show up and get this dealt with. But again, this is at 45th and Broadway. The intersection is shut down as we speak. I imagine this is just
Worth a short time ago. We believe she is there once again.
All right, we're want to mention real quickly with John's live report there. John Genevieve is one of many reporters, actually I believe 26 that have come in from across the country at our Scripps stations who are helping us out. And again, it's just part of our commitment to make sure we have the biggest force that we have right now on the playing field here, ready to give you as much information as we can. So you'll see some unfamiliar faces, I should add, but they're all part of our family with Scripps right now, basically here to give you the most up-to-date information. So just wanted to point that out because we are so appreciative of their help coming in. And likewise, we work with the Scripps company. Our corporate bosses are here as well. Our bosses are here as well, riding out this storm.
It's all boots on the ground.
It is.
Really, to give us some fresh eggs. And
we wanted to give you that perspective to make sure that you understand kind of our family here is working together just to make sure that you have the most detailed information.
One of those new faces. Actually, he's not a new face if you watch the Now South Florida.
That's right.
Because he's on all the time in the afternoon at 4 o'clock with our Now team. But he may be new to you at the Channel 5 family. But Todd Walker is part of the Scripps family. He's joining us live. Actually, it says on the phone, Todd, but we actually see you, so that's good stuff. You're at the Indian River Mall in Vero, is that right?
Yeah, we're up here in Vero Beach, and we are between feeder bands right now. It's been calm for a little bit. I don't even know if we got a very slight breeze. The tree's barely moving at all. About 30 seconds before you came to us, we got a little bit of rain on us. It's lessened up again. I hear the wind starting to blow again. It's going to be like this for a long, long time as we get ready for Matthew to move in. And as we've been talking about watching this storm track, Vero may be as close to a direct hit as we get around here. So about the only ones out here right now. I do have about 2.5 miles that way. They're hunkering down as well, getting ready to watch WPTV throughout this storm and hunker down and get ready to ride this out, because right now we are in the proverbial calm before the storm. We will start to see things pick up as we go along here, but here at the Indian Rivers Mall, just a few palm trees blowing around. Not very strong breezes yet, but we know that's going to change. Back to you guys.
Tom, before we let you go, I'm sure you visited your folks prior to your live shot here, and nice that you have a nice cozy bed up in that area at least. Tell me this, when you visited your parents' community, most people heeding the warnings, are they? Most folks in the community there heeding the warnings of putting up the shutters, getting ready, and the evacuation areas evacuated?
Yeah, I haven't been able to actually see them yet because we've been busy getting ready for TV coverage. They've been busy getting their house ready. They are in a fairly new community not far from here, so the homes were built after Hurricane Charlie, so they are built to withstand big hurricanes like this. They've got the hurricane shutters up. So a lot of people in that specific neighborhood, they are staying there because they're very low, one-story houses. They're cement. They're built to withstand stuff like this. Right. So a lot of people there are staying put. Others that we saw that may have older homes, we saw a lot of people fueling up and getting out of town.
Todd Walker for us there in Vero. We appreciate your coverage. We appreciate you coming to town and helping us out.
Great perspective there. Throughout the area, we've been telling you that a lot of people, telling people to get out if you're in an evacuation zone. News Channel 5's Gabrielle Saran reporting on the latest plea for people to leave Palm Beach County.
Please make your decision. Your window is getting shorter and shorter. If you need to move, move now.
Palm Beach County officials are not mincing words when it comes to Hurricane Matthew.
We don't know how fast the storm is going to move in. It's been moving steadily, but at any time it can also pick up speed.
A state of emergency is in effect. That means you must be ready for what will likely be a devastating storm.
So please, at this time, if you need to locate, please move to the shelters or find family further inland or friends.
It is now time to review everything that you have done. Are you ready? Do you have your supplies in?
Hurricane Matthew is powerful. The prediction for it, catastrophic. The storm is expected to pack winds of more than 140 miles an hour.
If you wait and you don't move now or very shortly, hunker down where you are.
Emergency management officials want you to be safe and plan for the worst of Matthew.
indicating what many officials have said, that urge to get people out. But at this point, wherever you're at, it's time to hunker down, stay safe, make sure you have those safe rooms in place. I want to talk about the shelters for those of you that have evacuated to their Indian River County shelters. They are now open at the Freshman Learning Center. I think we have a full screen of this. At the Oslo Middle School, at Sebastian River Middle School, at Liberty Middle School, and at Treasure Coast Elementary School.
Also in Palm Beach County, these schools have open shelters right now. There are 8 of them. A special needs shelter is open at the South Florida Fairgrounds. There is a pet-friendly shelter at the West Boynton Recreation Center. We're getting word that that is at capacity, actually. You can still leave your pets and stay at Park Vista High School. So if you're in a bind, you could leave your pets there and then go to Park Vista High School for shelter.
And there's still room available at shelters in St. Lucie County at the Havert L. Fenn Center in Fort Pierce. That's a special needs shelter. The 2 general shelters are located at Lakewood Park Elementary and Samuel Gaines Elementary, both in Fort Pierce.
Then to Martin County, that has activated a shelter at J.D. Parker Elementary. Also Anderson Middle School, that right now open in Stewart as a special needs facility. If you need that, people are being asked to call the Martin County EOC, the Information Center, with any questions that you may have.
In Okeechobee County, the EOC has a voluntary evacuation order in place for people living in low-lying areas and areas prone to flooding. A Red Cross shelter opened today at South Elementary School. A special needs shelter also open at the County Health Department. All right, I want to turn our attention now to local area hospitals. We talked about Boca Regional Hospital just a short time ago. They're not accepting any more patients after 6 p.m. tonight, and they have their own plans. Excuse me, visitors. Right. I should say that. Let me make that correction. Thank you for pointing that out. A lot of our hospitals and our local medical centers here have
across our viewing area are seeing, unfortunately, injuries related to hurricane preparation. Now, Wellington Regional Medical Center doctors tell me that they've seen numerous injuries related to people using power tools incorrectly, having accidents while putting up shutters, falling off of ladders, and these injuries can be as minimal as someone requiring stitches or even broken bones. That serious. They're making sure that everyone does their hurricane preparation way in advance. They say that once the storm starts, no one should be having any activity or doing any activity outside. Remember, EMS services will not be running during the storm.
Prevention is the most important thing, so avoid going outside, avoid getting on ladders or predisposing yourself to having an injury in the first place. Should you have an injury and you're concerned, then only then should you really notify EMS, and if they're running, they'll make suggestions for you. If not, then if it's something that's manageable at home, then you should stay at home.
Another precaution the hospital has taken is to have all of their expecting mothers that are between 36 to 40 weeks waiting here, hunkering down during the storm here at the hospital in case they do go into labor. They have about 10 expecting mothers waiting out here at Wellington Regional Medical Center. Reporting from Wellington, Michelle Casada, WPTV News Channel 5.
Michelle, thanks. Florida Power and Light predicting more than 2.5 million customers will lose power during the storm, and we should delineate customers means a facility, a business, a home. So there could be 5 people living in that home. So keep that in mind in terms of folks who are inconvenienced when their power goes out. The 2.5 million customers or homes or businesses, the estimate is based off the projected path of Matthew. If power does go out, they aren't really sure how long it's going to take to restore power, but you heard us talking a short time ago with the FPL spokesperson. He says their technology has come a long, long way since the storms of 2004. Once the winds die down to 35 miles per hour, crews can go ahead and head out and start to restore all power outages.
And remember, when the power is out, we'll still be on the air. We are keeping you informed right now through our radio partners. The list of them on your screens right now if you're watching us on air and on your mobile devices right now. We're also on Facebook, on Twitter, and our free WPTV app. Plenty of ways to stay with us as we go through the storm, and we can't emphasize this enough. Right now, as we ride out the duration of this storm, the most critical information will be coming from our storm team, pinpointing minute by minute, hour by hour, details of the storm, when your neighborhoods will be hit, how the wind speeds, the velocity of the storm. The critical data that you need to keep you and your family safe will be coming for the next 24 hours. So keep it right here with us.
And so jot down these radio stations or go ahead and tune them into your battery-operated radio right now, so that when you do lose power, if you do, you're ready to go. You don't have to scramble around and find the location that you need on the dial to find us. So jot these down right now. Go ahead and program your battery-operated radio if you'd like to, because this is critical information. When the power goes out, you're not going to get much notice. All right. As we mentioned, we have crews fanned out all across our viewing area, from Vero Beach all the way down to Boca and to Miami as well. But a lot of information comes into our newsroom throughout the day. Little announcements like Jay got on the Gators versus LSU game. And so Ashley Hinson is in the newsroom, and she's taking all that information in, and we touch base with her every now and then. Ashley, what do you have?
So we just got a statement from Donald Trump, actually, urging people to evacuate, saying that nothing is more important than your life and the safety of your family. Of course, Donald Trump, part-time Palm Beacher, he's a resident here, he's Mar-a-Lago, so he definitely is watching this storm just like we are. I want to bring you in here, kind of show you what else he said. He said, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone in the path of Hurricane Matthew. He went on to say, if your home is in the path, you need to get out right now. Nothing's more important than the safety of your family. Like I said, he went on to say down here, he wants to extend his personal condolences to those families in Haiti who lost loved ones. Of course, we know now that more than 100 people died in Haiti, just a devastation there. So that's the latest from the newsroom. We'll continue to monitor anything and update you as we get it, guys.
All right. Ashley, thank you very much. We talked about Hurricane Matthew's position in the Bahamas as it's making its way north-northwest right now. Charlie Keegan was down there earlier. There's a feeder band that's kind of working its way, but the worst is behind him at this point. He filed this report earlier for us.
What a difference a few hours makes here on Paradise Island near Nassau in the Bahamas. Earlier today, we were bunkered down in our room. This window was closed. There was no way we were getting out on the balcony. The hurricane was right here and pushing up against the building. But now, it seems like the worst of it has passed. There's hardly a breeze outside. I'm standing out on the balcony. The rain is still coming down. We expect showers to move throughout the afternoon and really into the evening. We're still trying to get an estimate and more of a grip on what kind of damage this hurricane caused to the Bahamas. We know most of Nassau does not have electricity. Our hotel is on generator at this point. There are assessment teams. They'll be going out this evening and trying to get an idea of exactly what kind of damage has gone on. We know some roofs, tiles came off roofs, and then here at the hotel property, we've seen some railings from balconies that have fallen off. But the good news, it looks like we are now clear of any major hurricane type of winds and damage in the future. From the Bahamas, I'm Charlie Keegan, WPTV News Channel 5.
All right. Charlie's filed some great reports for us throughout that area, and of course we'll be waiting for more damage reports and assessments. Steve Villanueva talked about storm surge in parts of that island, so we're going to be getting more updated reports from Charlie and our storm team as we get them in, as the Bahamas really picks up the pieces from this. President Obama signing an emergency declaration today offering federal aid to emergency response efforts. This authorizes Homeland Security and FEMA to coordinate disaster relief efforts. FEMA specifically will mobilize at its discretion to help those areas strongly impacted by Hurricane Matthew.
An additional 1,000 National Guard members activated to assist in the wake of Hurricane Matthew. That means a total of 3,500 members. More than half the available troops are ready to offer aid right now. The National Guard helping with evacuations, of course, and then getting ready for search and rescue missions. Hopefully they won't be needed, but inevitably, if people are not heeding the warnings, that could very well be possible.
By now, most of you are prepared and should have your hurricane shutters up, needless to say. Your home should be secure, but here's a list of items that you just want to keep handy right now, especially if you have that safe room. Make sure these items are in there. Lots of food and water, of course, for your family, batteries and flashlights. Cell phone chargers are going to be huge and critical at this point. And this is really important. If you're going to stay at home, if you aren't in an evacuation zone, you're advised to stay where you are as long as you're safe. It's going to get dangerous. The roads are going to get very, very dangerous here as we go through each hour. You all know this, those of you that have been in South Florida for a number of years and have ridden out storms like this. Stay where you are, stay in those safe rooms, and once the storm is over, don't go out on the roadways until it's absolutely safe, until the all clear has been given. And those of you who are at shelters, obviously the officials, those personnel that are at those shelters will guide you and direct you to where you need to go. But this is a big list here, and a lot of people, and Steve was saying, tonight, it's unfortunate that this is a massive, massive storm, and we're going to be seeing parts of our viewing area. We'll be seeing winds in excess of 130 to 150 miles an hour. That changes the dynamic from a Category 1 or 2. I mean, you're talking about roofs coming off and just critical, widespread damage. We're not suggesting that's going to happen, but look, we have to give you the information of what could happen, and that's why they have the best tools, resources available for us. So keep those safe rooms handy. You're going to need to get into those positions, into those places during the height of this storm when Steve is giving you that critical analysis, that critical data. The minute-by-minute wind speeds and all that you're dealing with. When you're hearing all that outside, it's going to be important for you to be in that safe spot while you're listening to Steve.
So with that, let's get to Steve Legal, because he's going to fill us in exactly
yeah.
what
If you don't have a safe room already, you should. This is the time to pick one, because you may have to get into it tonight. Lowest level of your house, interior room that's secure, that doesn't have any windows and won't be compromised if you get really strong winds. And it's a room that you may have to stay in for an hour or two, as the winds can be damaging for South Florida as this hurricane moves through. Of course, we all use safe rooms in Francis and Jean and Wilma, and we have the potential of getting some very strong damaging winds with this hurricane too. I will point out, though, that in the last about 2 hours, the storm is taking more of a north jog than a northwest, so that at least keeps it off a little farther from the coastline, at least in the near term. But we have the outer feeder bands working through. There's a look at the storm, and if you watch the eye of this, the track should be more in this direction here, but it's definitely taken this little jog toward the north, almost pretty much due north. Look at that, toward Grand Bahama. It's very obvious on the radar loop. Is this a short-term jog, or does this persist and actually last a little bit longer? We'll see from the Hurricane Center. They don't look for this. They don't get hours, and that's how they decide the direction of the storm. Category 4 at this point, winds at 140 miles an hour, making a close approach to Palm Beach County tonight. You can see, though, in the last couple of hours, it's actually more in this area here than rather this area. So this storm is
overnight hours. As the storm system is getting closer, the center of the storm system probably 50 to 60 miles to the east of Palm Beach, and that's when we could have wind gusts potentially up to 80 miles per hour. If the storm system is closer to the coast, they go up. If it's a little bit farther away, if it's closer towards Grand Bahamas, at least our peak wind gusts will start to go below that. And then as we head towards tomorrow afternoon, as the storm system is pulling away, we're definitely going to see improving weather, especially from south to north. So we start with the better weather in South County, and then eventually it will work its way northward as the day goes on. Over towards Lake Okeechobee, as we head into tonight, we could have wind gusts up to 75 miles per hour. And then really Martin and St. Lucie counties, you're going to see the worst of it during the overnight hours. That's when you could potentially have winds of up to 105 miles per hour. Again, depending on where the center of the storm system is. If it's closer to the coast, wind gusts will be stronger than that. If it's a little bit farther offshore, the wind gusts will be below that. But we think the worst of it will definitely be into Indian River County. That's where right now we can see wind gusts of 120 miles per hour as we head into the overnight hours tonight. This is if it's really hugging the coast. If it's a little bit farther offshore, the winds will be lower than that. But if it's much closer to the coast, or in fact it actually comes ashore a little bit, the winds will be stronger than that. Remember, this is a Category 4 hurricane, so it is a very powerful storm system. Right now it's moving towards the Grand Bahamas, and as it gets closer and closer to the coast, we're going to see our winds pick up over the next couple of hours. All right, so with that said, we are tossing it to James.
I'm looking at the camps because we have some of those bands moving through right now, 45, 55 mile per hour wind gusts we just got from the Weather Service. So let me pull up our cam right here. This is our airport cam looking at the Belvedere Curve, and look at that. Just a mess riding up and down 95. That's on the right part of your screen there, and the wind is just whipping the waves in that little lake right there, that's for sure. I'm going to try to see if I can control it and move around to the actual airport here at PBIA, and we're going to see the runway and the tower there off in the distance, and the camera is just shaking and shimmying out there. We'll go to a couple other places here and see what's going on. Here's one. This is the Fort Pierce Inlet, and you see all the wave action kind of bumping up there to that too. And we also have Delray. Let's go down to South County and look at Delray. Look at the big waves coming on in there. Hard onshore winds and the rain just whipping. We'll have more for you coming up in a little bit, Jay.
Very much, Steve. Thank you as well. Remember, when the power's off, we are always on the air, currently streaming, on all of these iHeartRadio stations, our radio partners. We're also on Facebook, Twitter.
So it's all systems go now at all the emergency operations centers all across our viewing area, Palm Beach, St. Lucie, Okeechobee counties. We're awaiting an update, in fact, from St. Lucie County leaders. We're going to get things over to John Shaman, who's standing by live there at EOC. John?
Jay Shannon, that press conference is scheduled to start at 5 o'clock or maybe a few minutes after, but I did just speak with Sheriff Ken Mascara, who told me that most people heeding the mandatory evacuation off of Nettles Island, he said he just came from there, and that 95% of the residents have decided to leave to get to the mainland. Now, I spent most of this afternoon driving around St. Lucie County, and I'll show you what I found. Again, gas lines, just like everywhere else, people looking for a place to fill up. I went to this pilot station on Okeechobee near I-95 and the Turnpike, and it closed at 3 o'clock. They had some gas, but the employees, they need to get home to their families to prepare. So they closed that up at 3 o'clock. Now, also getting ready for the storm, I spotted a number of tree trimming companies that appear to be staging in the pilot parking lot. Now, also closed now, supermarkets. I saw the last few people leaving Publix on St. Lucie West Boulevard, an employee telling me this was the busiest day she had seen in years, worse than any recent Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I did talk to one customer who said, yeah, it's really been bad in the stores lately.
So I was in here just yesterday, and I had somebody take a couple loaves of bread out of my basket when I just turned around. I said, that's how crazy it is.
I also stopped by one of the main shelters in St. Lucie County, Samuel Gaines Academy. They had about 250 people there, and I was also told by the Assistant County Administrator that we will bring you all those details on air and online. We're live in St. Lucie County. John Shaman, WPTV, News Channel 5.
All right, I want to take you right now as we continue our coverage right now. We're going to switch gears here a little bit. We have a brand new track here that just came out on Hurricane Matthew.
Let's get right to Steve Weigel. Steve?
Yes, here's the latest. The 5 p.m. advisory is in. You'll notice the last couple of hours, the storm's making more of a north track than northwest. Big bands coming in across South Florida. And the latest from the Hurricane Center, the 5 p.m. advisory, winds are kept at 140 miles an hour. The hurricane hunters are flying through it, but they really haven't had a chance to sample the atmosphere around the storm, so they'll keep it at 140. It may be stronger, though, and northwest at 13. The forecast track taking it across West End as a Category 4 tonight, and then off the coast of the Treasure Coast late evening and overnight still as a Category 4, and then very close to Vero Beach. That is 2 a.m. Winds at 130 miles an hour at that point, and of course the hurricane force winds stretch out about 50 to 60 miles from the center. So that's why we're still expecting strong winds along the coastline, and then landfall possible around the Cape before it parallels the coast all the way up in toward the Carolinas. There's Charleston, Category 1, and then a big wraparound and a storm coming back down into the Bahamas, potentially as a tropical storm. That's the official forecast, but almost in the same place it is right now. And this is Tuesday. By Wednesday, some of the models bring it right back into storm. And the Hurricane Center believes that we may be seeing what we call an eye wall replacement. So this is the inner core here, maybe collapsing, and a second eye may be forming that will replace the first. And that we've been flying into the eye and showing the big, just massive structure to this storm. 50 and 60,000 foot cloud tops, big storms, and lots of lightning in the last few minutes with this. Actually, about the last hour, fueling this. And there's a look at the other side of the storm. 50 and 60,000 feet high. Some of these storms and some of these feeder bands. And there's one look. There's a very powerful line of rain and wind right there, and another one working across our area. We've already, almost everyone at this point has experienced. It's about just a little under 60 miles away from South Florida. So this is one of our next ones to move in. What happens here? Don't be fooled. You'll watch this and expect this to come in, but the feeder bands will form ahead of this too. And kind of one right there, and we'll see this area just ahead of this band develop even sooner. So our next wave will have one wave of very strong winds after another for the next couple, 24 hours at least. So the tropical storm force winds are already into South Florida. Almost everyone, as I said, in our viewing area has experienced over 40 mile an hour winds. We get into the 50 and 60 mile an hour winds early evening. The hurricane force winds are showing up in red here. So they cut along the North County area, just right along the coastline through 10 and 11 o'clock. As we get into 1 in the morning, they start to move up across the Treasure Coast into Vero and Fort Pierce. It looks like this wind field is also nudged back off the coastline just a little bit. We're still above 74 miles an hour, but not as far inland as earlier. And then everything's starting to pull off toward Melbourne after that. That'll be tomorrow morning. So power outages still look impressive, at least the probability for power outages the next 24 hours. You can see anywhere from high to very high in northern Palm Beach County, the very high probability of power outages. So batteries and flashlights needed. James Whelan's here with me, and more on the kind of local effects of what we can expect tonight and tomorrow.
We have a couple of really strong bands moving through at the moment, and things are going to get a little bit more consistent now, a little bit stronger each go around, and you see it here, one line moving through right at the moment. You see it just move through downtown West Palm Beach. We showed you that picture earlier by the airport, and wind gusts 45 to 55 miles per hour. El Rey really taking it on the chin right now, and then pushing back even into Wellington right now too, as this even farther up to the north, Royal Palm too, you're going to see the wind really start to pick up in just a few minutes. Let's take a tour a little bit of the storm here, and you see it's on the radar now, heading up towards almost right into Freeport too. And we'll zoom in and take a closer look at this here and put it in